I don't think we're going to have another crash like the 30s. But that doesn't mean you don't have to worry, because during the 1930s we were on the gold standard.
Okay.
We don't have that benefit anymore.
We do not.
And so the market can still crash as much as it did in the 30s if you measure it in the price of gold. So I think in terms of gold, and gold's around 1,800 an ounce right now, and the Dow's around 36,000. But if the Dow crashes to the point where it's worth 1 ounce of gold, which is what happened during the 1930s. So you got, by about 1932, the Dow and gold were about the same price. That could happen again. And maybe it happens with, the Dow at 50,000 and gold at 50,000. But if the Dow and gold are the same price again, the Dow crashed. I don't care, what the nominal price is. Because see, this time around, it's the dollar that's going to crash. Right? So if you're simply measuring the value of stocks with dollars, if the dollar itself loses a lot of value, then, it may look like the stock market's gone up. It's like if you're 6 feet tall and I give you a ruler that only has 6 inches in it, and now you measure yourself, it doesn't mean you're 12 feet tall. You got to look at that ruler. I've cut the ruler in half. Your height hasn't changed. It's the ruler that's changed. And so now you're taller because a foot now has 6 inches, right? So if the dollar loses a lot of value and then you go and try to price stocks, well, obviously the price is going to go up when you're measuring stocks with money that's worth less. Gold is an objective measure of value. That ounce of gold doesn't change. The government doesn't print any gold. So if you really want to know what's happening to prices, you need something like gold as an arbiter, so you can look at it through a lens that doesn't change. And if you do that, you will see a crash in all of these overpriced assets. And and the way Americans will see that crash, right? Your stock market portfolio, maybe it doesn't go down, or maybe it goes up, maybe it doubles. But when you go to the supermarket, everything is 10 times as expensive. Right? Your electric bill is 10 times as expensive. So if your stock portfolio has doubled, but your cost of living has gone up 10 times, your stock portfolio has actually lost value. Because its ability to help, offset your cost of living has been diminished. The real value of those stocks has gone down relative to all of the goods that you want to buy. Because when people invest in the stock market, nobody buys stocks because they want stocks. They don't hang the certificate, on a wall and admire it. People are buying stocks because they hope they can sell them at a profit or take the dividends and then go out and buy stuff. It's the stuff that they want. Stocks are just a means to get you more stuff, right? So, but if the price of the stuff you want is skyrocketing compared to the value of the stocks you own, you're getting poorer, not richer. Well, it's totally going to upend the current economic system where Americans really sit in envious position. We are the major beneficiaries of the dollar's status because it enables us to live beyond our means. We can import all these goods without having to produce them. And, it's expensive to produce. It takes real resources and, creates pollution, right? So we get the benefit of all these factories without actually having to deal with them. They're in some other country. And because we have the reserve currency, we can borrow a lot of money, but we don't have to save much money. And the borrowing, and spending, that's the fun part. The saving and producing is the hard part, right? So we just get to do all the fun stuff. And the world is doing all our heavy lifting. So, when the dollar crashes, and it will crash, then our whole standard of living is going to implode with it. But as bad as that's going to be for America, it's actually going to be a relief for the rest of the world, because the rest of the world will no longer have to bear the burden of supporting the U.S. economy. So the rest of the world will have more stuff to and they'll have more of their savings to invest productively in their own economies. They won't be lending as much to us. So they're going to reclaim their savings. They're going to reclaim the consumer goods that they produce. So the rest of the world is going to get to have more, and America is going to have to make do with a lot less. Yeah, there are a lot of potholes, the road, to China dominating the world. But, the U.S. economy experienced similar growing pain the way. So I think that overall, the Chinese economy is positioned to be dominant global economic power. China has dominated the world for a lot longer than the U.S. has. And you go back throughout history and you look at various periods of time where China was strongest, largest economy in the world. I mean, so America's position, 100 years where that's been the case. So, I mean, China's had that position for many, maybe, I don't know the exact number of times. I mean, how many, but many. And so China dominating the world is more the norm, and so I think they're obviously going to be back on top. I think the majority of this century is really young, right? We're in the second decade of the century. And, long before we get to the middle, I mean, I think even by the end of this decade, it's very likely that China will be a larger economy than the.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where do you start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.